Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to check out a band today that I have heard before. In fact, I've heard this song before. This week, I saw them show up in my YouTube feed and I thought, dang, that music video was pretty good. The music in it was solid. I wonder if they're doing any better. And I saw that their subscriber numbers were still low and I was like, dang. I want to shine a spotlight on them again, but they haven't released any new music. And then I searched, and I actually have never had them on the channel before. I don't remember how I found them originally, and I'm pretty sure I shared them with the Discord community, but I never did a reaction to them. So this isn't really a reaction, but it also has been like a year since I've heard this song. I remember some bits and pieces of it, but on the whole, it's going to be nice to listen to again, and I get to share it with y'all this time. We're going to be looking at the group Old Blood with their most recent music video, The Chained Elephant. Let's dive into this, see what the Old Blood is bringing to the table today. I do remember it had a very cool intro though. Subtle bits of joy juxtaposed with longing. The bend really leaning into that longing element. Oh yeah, the sax. Nice little bluesy run. Really quiet, distant guitar over here. Nice older organ sounds on the keyboards. That halftime feel coming in from the intro for this verse. I'm still digging the texture on the organ underneath all of this. A little bit of grit on the vocals there. So many little variations in just the last like 8 bars. Oh, okay.
You know what I came
Yeah.
to see, yeah. You know what I expect to see in front of me. Never feeling my own pain. You know what I came to see, yeah. You know what I expect to see in front of me. Always fading.
So much rumble on the low end here. It's just. The organ coming in to help punctuate the finale here. Great solo.
Should've kept it safe. Where the gold surrounds me. Oh, I know I should've held it closer. Where it hurts the most tonight. Yes, I know.
Oh, the tremolo rise over here.
You look at me like I'm from outer space. Look at me, yeah. Like I am Venus.
They're really hanging on with it. There we go. I was waiting. Eventually, we have to do this final drop here. Yeah. Really solid track. I kind of forgot about the intro to that, so it was cool to check that out again. I do love the intro. Just excellent atmospheric writing. We got a frickin' saxophone there. It sounds great. I love the balance between all of it. I love the moodiness that the piano begins, and then the bluesy guitar licks come in with the bends and the wide reverb on the sax. All of it just kind of comes together to create this heavy weight. Sounds phenomenal. I remember the general, like, I don't know, sludgy, psychedelic metal stuff going on here. I actually don't know how I would classify this because it's kind of hard rock, kind of stoner, kind of sludgy, kind of doomy at times. It captures a lot of different vibes. I'm sure some of you out there are like, no, it's specifically this subgenre umbrella. Yeah, I don't know how to classify it though. The outro though, I don't really remember that one either. At least the intro, as soon as I heard it, especially the sax coming in, I was like, oh yeah, this was that song. I was happy to find this. I think this Moody sax intro has been bouncing around my head at times, and I'll hear bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, I don't remember what that song is, but it sounds pretty cool. It's one of those situations where I think, oh, yeah, maybe this is something I've come up with. I've done that a few times. I'm like, dude, this melody's pretty sick. Don't know where it came from. Probably mine. I'll like start, putting it together, recording it, and be like, oh wait, nah, dude, this is just, some popular song. or something like that. And I gotta scrap that. But yeah, I think I've had parts of that intro in my mind at times over the last year. And now I know where it came from. So that's great. Very cool stuff, though. I'm glad I've got to revisit this. And I think I'm going to have to check out, I think I wanted to check out this album, which is called Midnight Climax. Why does that seem very appropriate for the album, I mean, for the atmosphere of this? Something about the very 60s psychedelic vibe that goes along with more of the stoner modern stuff. Yeah, Midnight Climax, 100%. That's a 60s title right there. But yeah, this looks like it came out a couple of years back, and I meant to check it out, and I think it got lost in all the releases for that year. And I don't think I got a chance to check it out. But I think I'm going to rectify that. I'm going to have to listen to this soon because this song is just so good. The intro, Moody. Right from the start, there's little bits of positivity sprinkled in, but it doesn't take long before we begin to look at darker, gloomier sounds going on here. And about the time that we start doing that and the piano line dips down into heavier sections is when we hear the guitar come in with the bend. And it is a very bluesy, lonely bend all by itself. And it's just like, oh, dude, it just, alongside the guitar stuff, it just starts to eat at you. And then the sax comes in and it is just heavy. It's providing this nice wide sound. Of course, the reverb helps with that too. We get some cool runs off of that. We get some incredibly bluesy licks off the guitar. And it just descends into this weightiness. And at the very end of it, somehow it lends itself well into that first guitar chord. Now, I think that when we look at the intro and the main sound of this track back to back, they are incredibly different. So it's impressive that they could find any way to transfer between these two sounds at all without it feeling completely jarring. Now, that's not to say that it is the smoothest transition. I think that the shift is supposed to be startling on some level, but it does come across a little more natural than I think I could have ever pulled off, and I find that to be really interesting. Once we get into the main section, though, we have the pianist, now keyboardist, pulling up this classic 60s organ sound, a little bit of a mellotron going on there. I love this. It just feels right. It mixes well with the massive rumble and compression of the bass guitar that just has so much crackle and bounciness to it. It's not even a bounciness in the composition, it's a bounciness of the sound itself. It is constantly in flux, like a bubbling going on to it. Sounds great, massive low end. The guitar tone, something about it feels both modern, so it almost a little bit reminds me of Queens of the Stone Age, more of that almost quintessential stoner sound, but there's also something about it that feels warmer and less vibrant, I think might be the word. Something that sounds like an older amp. Something that lacks a lot of the high-end clarity that we'll see on newer modern equipment as we have advanced the technology around speakers. There's just something about older speakers that feel warmer, and I think clarity is the wrong way to describe this because I don't think they're less clear, but to me they do sound a little muddier. Even though I don't think it's a clarity thing. I don't think muddiness is the right word, but it does. I lack the vocabulary to describe it. But this feels weirdly of both worlds. It's definitely a modern sound, but it feels like they're emulating maybe an older cabinet or an older amp or something like that. And when we pair this massive rumble of the bass with this of two worlds, but definitely one foot in the past guitar tone with this obvious focusing on the past with the organ sound, it all just clicks. It's as if we've taken a 60s sound from the past and then just sort of transposed it into modern time. And given it a bit of a kick as far as energy goes with modern hard rock and modern metal production in general. And it works so well. I absolutely love just the sheer atmosphere that these instruments create. Forgetting the music entirely, just like play some notes on all these instruments and it just sounds great. The atmosphere is palpable. It is heavy, it's weighty, it's kind of sludgy, but it is moving. I mean, we have a lot of momentum on this guitar riff right here. We have a lot of momentum on the bass riff. The drums are pushing us forward. And what really helps all of that is we have a lot of low end present in these instruments, and it allows a lot of space at the top for the vocalist to cut through. And the vocalist does a lot of maybe not necessarily belting, but very forward projected, higher pitch stuff. Higher pitch compared to the instrumentation here. And it allows them to, the guitars, down, 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 down. There's a lot of movement to there. The vocals are just holding out these notes. It's just a massive contrast in melodic writing here. And I love that because we have the drive of all the instrumentation with the power of the vocals on top of that. And working together, it just sounds great. And that's just coming from the intro into, I assume, the opening verse, the first section with vocals to it. But it isn't long before we start playing around with time feel, and we cut this in half. And that is one of the most palpable moments of this track, aside from the bridge, which slows the song down even more. But these aren't subtle 5 BPM shifts. We're dropping this in half, and you can just feel how the song plummets. It no longer has that momentum. As much as the guitars still want to have forward movement in their riffage, you just don't feel that. The music has dropped down to a slog. And I thought this moment felt great. I didn't really feel as much of the impact the second time we dropped it to halftime. But the first time through, I mean, it's like slamming into a brick wall. You've just kind of stopped. There is no slowing down. We've just, I think a better one might be sprinting and then winding up in some sort of mud or sludge. And you're just immediately losing all of that momentum you had. You're still making forward progression, but yeah, dude, the speed is lost instantaneously. And it's just this massive weight pushed down upon the listener. And I really love how this was embellished even more in the bridge because, yeah, we drop down to a slow tempo again, but we don't have as much guitar or bass or drum work going on anymore. It's just these massive bump, bump, bump. And there's this space between each hit that really emphasizes each individual hit. And it just feels so weighty, as if you don't only just have this weight upon you, but you're dragging a weight behind you as well. There's just no momentum at all. Just this feeling of being trapped under pressure. If the chorus was a halftime that you could still make progress in, this is one where pretty much every single force is working against you. We are still getting through this song. We have these spurts of energy where we can kind of take one more step, but the sludge, the mud that we're walking through is waist high now. And it really is, you get one step and then you got to like readjust your weight and take another step. And it is just slow trudging at this point. And as soon as that hit, dude, I was like, you can feel it. It's such a strong moment in the track. All of this done through time feel, because honestly, the riffage changes a little bit, the vocals change a little bit, but it's the time that really elevates these moments. There is one other section that I really loved. It was right after this moment, coming into the outro, which I believe was just returning back to some of the earlier ideas. Actually, I think it was returning to the chorus. at a slower tempo. But we had this vulnerable moment. Most of the instrumentation is cut out. It's like a little background noise going on. I think it was a chord being held or something like that. What I was focusing on though was the vocals, because we got a really strong performance here as we've isolated the vocalist. And I know I've heard the line. I don't know what words are being said, but I think this was the chorus. And the vocals just feel so small, so unsure of themselves. There was even a moment where it felt like the vocalist was about to break into tears as they kind of lost the pitch. It was just air for a brief moment. I really enjoyed this. I love when vocalists embody the words that they're saying and really convey the emotion not through their lyricism, but through their performance. And I thought this section was really well done, and feeling it come after this moment where it almost feels like they're defeated. We have moved from driven to halftime. There's a lot of weight, to even slower than that, where it feels like you're barely making any progress, to a moment where there's no beat at all. Time has effectively stopped, one, so we can focus on the internal conflict and emotions of our vocalist and the story that's being told, but also because this song has been grinding to a halt from the very beginning. It's just a perfect moment here, and it really allows us to transition back into something with a little bit more drive to wrap the song up on. I love this. This is just such a great, and I remember it hit me too, so much so when I heard it the first time that I immediately went to Discord and I was like, hey y'all, you gotta check this song out, really great stuff. And it got lost under all the releases of 2024. So like I said, I'm glad I get to share it with y'all now, better late than never. And it's a good reminder to me to return back to it and finally get a chance to check out the album. Let me see if I can find some lyrics for this, and then we're going to wrap this video up. Lyrically, it seems we have a track about someone being exploited for some part of them, and that they are now feeling trapped or caged, possibly in a metaphor of being a performer, and continuously showing this part of them that others are going to pay to see, but they no longer have their freedom to show it to whom they want. This is, I think, done through the metaphor of the caged elephant at possibly some sort of circus event. Something to put on stage to see, but eventually, after the show's over, thrown back in a cage, lacking true freedom. The beginning says, am I lost in a dream? It's a familiar space, but I'm locked in here. The gold surrounds me, but I am locked inside. It says, I only asked for what I needed to keep it close and to keep it safe, but I can't go and find it on my own anymore. This idea that they are, in a sense, well kept. They're not wanting for basic survival. They have housing, they have food, and anything they ask for, it seems that they're getting, at least if it's what they need, but they actually don't have the autonomy to go out and get it for themselves anymore. The chorus, I believe, says, but I should have kept it safe, right here in its place. I should have kept it sound so I could be free again, or oh, to be free again. The line is just to be free again. I think you can read that in a couple different ways, especially based on the line that comes before it. But I think the general idea here is that both their talent, their skill, their beauty, whatever it is that they have been caged for, whatever they wish they had kept safe, whatever portion of themselves, they wish for that to be free again. They wish for themselves to be free again. The fourth stanza, which I believe is somewhere in the bridge, talks about the performative side of this. I know what you came to see, and I know what you expect to see happen to me, but you never see my pain. And I am always fading away forever in this way, that they're losing bits of themselves to this detainment, this being caged. And we wrap up the track. Once again, I should have kept it safe. Despite the gold that surrounds me, I should have held it close to me, even though it would hurt the most to do so. I think this is really interesting. If we frame this in the idea of artists, typically the best art is the ones that are the most vulnerable, where you give a piece of yourself to the audience, but you kind of lose it in that manner. And eventually the audience can even shape who you are, who they expect you to be, who they want you to be. Especially when it comes to famous artists, especially music stars. We have seen this most recently with Chapel Roan. So I think that this is a story that a lot of artists tend to go through, especially if they're making art that is a bit more personal or vulnerable. I think this is a really good way of kind of viewing all of this through an analogy of a circus act, kind of creating a less personal version of an audience and a performer. And kind of taking away the humanity from the performer and viewing them as just a part of a show, something to be entertained by, despite the artist giving it them all, putting a piece of themselves out on the stage every night. And the feeling of being lost, trapped, moving slower, not making the paces you want, feeling compressed in by weight. Yeah, I think the song does a pretty good job of embodying a lot of these themes. These are my thoughts on Old Blood's The Chained Elephant. What did you think of this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have your own take, perspective, or opinion on this? Let me know. Put all that and anything else you'd like to add into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box, yeah, you can find my stuff, but I'm also going to link Old Blood's social media or streaming platforms, definitely their Bandcamp, if you want to check out more from them or get in contact with them. That's going to be the best way to do it. I'm going to find as many sources as I can. Hopefully, whatever platform you listen to music on or whatever social media platforms you have, you'll be able to find them on those. If you could, like, subscribe, ring the bell, helps me out. If you head on over to any of their YouTube channels, social medias, whatever, like, subscribe, ring bells, thumbs up, whatever's going to help them with the algorithm as well. They certainly deserve it. Show them some love from this community. That's going to wrap it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.